Welcome to Halfwise. I'm Elisa and I'm your host. And this is Halfwise, a podcast about the decision that shaped us. With me, there is Lena today.
Hello.
Hi, Lena. Welcome to be here. So happy that you be here. I would like to ask you, how you doing? And also to speak a little bit more about yourself. Who is Lena, where everything started? So we go a little bit back before we move forward.
Okay. My name is Lena. I'm doing good today, a little bit tired. We had a coffee before we started this, so that helped a little bit.
Always the power of espresso.
I was raised by two entrepreneurs.
Oh, wow.
So I think that started to shape me at a very young age. And because I also have an older sibling, and we both kind of had an extra child always with us in the room talking about the business of our parents,
okay.
right? They both had individually their own businesses, and I think that always is kind of with you in the room when you are raised by them. But it shaped me in good and in challenging ways, right? Some of them were where I feel, yeah, maybe I wanted to have more attention, but then some of the moments also shaped me in a positive way, knowing how much work goes into building a business or holding a business next to also raising kids and building a family, right? So I think that shaped me in my childhood, I would say. And but then I my journey is not very linear. I always struggle to give a very build up sequence of events, but I went to high school, did a lot of extracurricular things, went into the youth parliament, so really fought for kids' rights as well. Played the flute for a long time, for 12 years actually, so did also if competitions, and played the piccolo, the tenor, the bass, the all types of them. But yeah, played a lot of sports always, badminton, did jujitsu for a while. Yeah, you're also learning new things about me here today.
Definitely.
Yeah. And was also in school, for a while, how do you call it? The student voice, so that you can speak.
We have the same in Italy. It's some kind of representative.
Classroom representative.
I was the same actually.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really fun. But yeah, so that was during high school a lot. And then I wanted to study psychology, but I never had the grades for it. So then I went into social science instead. So both of my parents actually supported me a lot in instead of directly after school going into studying something, which oftentimes ended up into being just study business, is always good, right? I felt like a lot of people did that. Yeah. Which is always good.
I'm guilty of that. I don't know what to do.
100%.
Let's go for that.
They were oh, if you don't know it, just figure it out, and then study something that you really feel excited about. So half a year I was working in hospitality, just went to different job markets, checking out those fairs where you can have a conversation with people. And yeah, and then I decided to study social science. So did that in Germany for 3 years. And part of that study program was also that you had to have an internship for half a year. And I decided to do that in the south of Germany at a company that is 200 plus years old, called Zeiss. I don't know if you know it, but they do also camera lenses for Hollywood movies. They're really well known.
Yeah, with a Z.
Exactly.
Sorry, it's just because.
No, I know. It's the German pronunciation.
Yeah, so I was yeah, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So they are really they started with microscopes in Carl Zeiss Jena. But then they developed all different kinds of business areas. One of them, the cameras, and also glasses, and they do the microchips for phones as well.
Oh wow!
So yeah, but you can imagine, me going into that internship, I was super excited. It was like for half a year. I was in HR for that time, and yeah, like being a young, motivated person coming into a 200 years old company.
Yeah, that's what's interesting for me, like the company that you decided to go for, because like as you said, like a little bit innuendo, I have a background in business. Normally when you go like this family business or like very old business, they have a certain kind of way to do things that not always, maybe sometimes like the times are changing, but they are really engraved to old way to do, or like things that were there for very long. And when I hear from you, like say you were a very like, how you call it, curious person, because you tried many different things and felt like, oh, that might feel like a little bit jumping in the cold water.
No, totally. And it's also like shapes you in every experience, kind of shapes you as a human being, I think, right? But yeah, during that time it was really interesting to see, like having, like I also later on wrote my thesis in that company about how to really make people work together in a way, because in Germany, a lot of elderly went, like a lot of old people went into retirement. And only a small part of younger people came after, So, of course, for companies that exist for so long, and like people who work also for 40 years at the same company, they captivate a lot of this knowledge, and they will take it with out of the company.
A lot of the information.
So already during that time, I realized there was like also different generations working with each other, and like the communication is so important then to like when before they go into retirement, to like really take everything that you can from that knowledge to keep it in that company, right? But already during that time, I was in the development department, and so we were hiring like external trainers as well to like teach the company about leadership, about like interpersonal communication, about
skills,
all that, right? And it was like still super old school because it was not digitalized yet, and it was 15, 16. So you had to like fill out a paper. Like imagine you're a person, you want to do a training, you like fill out your paper, you send it via the internal post or like the internal mail to our department. We get the thingy, we look at it, and then you type it in SAP, all the numbers in, and like then you kind of are registered for the program. But like imagine how much faster it is nowadays.
For me, it's like very funny that you say that, because before we were talking a bit and we were speaking about business cases, and you say, oh, so manual. We were speaking about one case in particular. In the first reaction, you had so much manual work. And now I'm hearing from you, like you went through and like kind of, I understand why the first reaction you had was that one, because you come from experience, like how I can better optimize process, right? And because you were confronted with things that were not that optimized.
No, exactly. So we were actually in that department, we had a sub-department for that purpose, to digitalize the system.
Oh, wow.
And that also meant we needed to talk to the elderly people to understand, okay, what is exactly the process? Like teach us your process so that the younger ones can like digitalize it, or like maybe teach the older one how it works, right? So there's a lot of intergenerational communication necessary.
I would say there is also a little bit of conflict, because when I was working, I had an experience similar in a family business, and I was hired because I was coming from a big corporation, American, so very streamlined operation and everything. And my role was like to kind of normalize and streamline some process, and the amount of resistance that was there was like, it was really intense and quite. It was not even visible, was really like tangible in the sense like that.
Yeah, because like I think at the end when I did my thesis on like how to captivate that knowledge before they leave, it was usually I did like expert interviews, and then people said like, yeah, why do I care if like keep giving them like my knowledge? I didn't feel respected, I didn't feel validated, I didn't feel like seen. So it's also coming back to these soft skills or social skills that we call them, right? That are actually super important for your hard skills to like keep the profit going, because like that company, for instance, gets a lot of profit from like the really like the machines that work with, for instance, to like make these microchips for the phone. You have to really have we call it in German fingertip knowledge, because it's like really fine-tuned
detailed
intrinsic knowledge, right? And you don't learn it just by reading a manual.
No.
You would need to actually have that person teach you. You would need to stand next to them. You would need to like kind of get into their brain, right?
Yeah.
So if they don't care, that profit that we all like care so much about is like in the soft skills as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's like the human behind that needs to be validated, and that already shaped like my sense of leadership as well, like to see how we in the development department as well, like model a sense of leadership that maybe doesn't encourage that communication.
Yeah, it's more like you think like competition, therefore like retention of information for myself.
Yeah.
Instead participation of it.
And also like really encouraging, oh, the young ones, they're the ones who like can turn the ship around, and like kind of forgetting about the older ones. But they also feel it, and then they feel like, okay, I'm going to drop my pen here. But then, and they just wait for like retirement, and like they get their pension and they're happy. But like then you as a young leader feel like, oh, I need to support the young ones. But like you totally forget that your whole business is about the interplay of both knowledges, So I felt that already shaped me during that time. And later on, also working with different studios, I think you see it also the leadership styles of like how much trust you can give your people, and how much you can also like get a little bit out of that micromanaging.
Yeah, because like speaking about studios, indeed, because you also worked as a Pilates instructor and you had your own company. So you say adopt the kid that your parents so like I think I like this extra sibling. I'm gonna have one for myself too, right?
I never wanted to own my own company because I saw how my parents were dealing. Like I love them and they did their best, not to like judge them, but like I was never in the impression of like that I would become self-employed. But then out of a sudden I became.
Yeah, I say like maybe sometimes we grow, we see the things in a different perspective. You had an experience in corporate, maybe think, I don't know if I want to be behind this process for 3 years before I get something done, right? Or like that I have to pass through so many like hierarchy. People have to, get so many people to agree on what I'm saying, what I want to do before the thing is actually happening. Maybe it's too late because, in the meantime, things change. So, and then indeed, like you had your experience as instructor. So you also kind of saw similar, like, or different leadership styles in different studio.
Yeah. And I felt like it came back to, really seeing the human behind it instead of only seeing they are serving a purpose to give me money in a company.
Yeah, I think it's always like a very tricky one because at the very beginning, a lot of companies or like studios, they see the transactional side. I need that hour, I need to fill it, I need a person that fills it, and I need a person that fills it in a way that makes me money. So that is inspiring for people, so on and so forth. But eventually, if a class has a certain success, let's talk it like this, and it's full, is because the human behind is the one that makes it possible.
Exactly. And we humans, we're unpredictable. Like we're not like machines and like you type in a certain formula and then like they work and run like this. Sometimes we have good days, sometimes we have bad days. And like you as a leader need to incorporate all of this, right? It's also a lot of capacity that you need to have to be able to hold that team. And talking about like my parents being self-employed, I saw it firsthand. I also helped out my mom and like she had a physiotherapy practice for 30 plus years and like also a Pilates teacher later on and like osteopath. Like she does really cool stuff. But then I helped at the reception sometimes as well. And then you see also certain types of people and like you see how the interplay also between like leadership and management and like therapists work eventually, right? And I think it's always this the more you give that person also really yeah, some people need a little bit more structure, some people need a little bit more freedom, and like you really need to understand of what kind of people do I have in my team.
Yeah,
And
true.
like they don't always have to be the same, right? And
True.
they can be different, but like figuring that out and giving them that what they like, and pushing the good sides, and like maybe giving them room for development is also can be interesting.
Yeah,
But
it's like investing also to know them and what can be like their triggers, right?
Yeah.
Because some people can be like, as you say, really disciplined, therefore they respond to direction.
Yeah.
That as a manager, I think it creates like also like a very fine line between start to micromanage people and not.
Yeah.
Right? To give direction without entering
Yeah.
into micromanaging. That is very tempting sometimes for some people, because then we enter in the fact that a powerful leader is someone that also can hand over and trust the team, you know, and also like what you rightfully said sometimes is being understanding of the person you're working with indeed is a person.
Yeah.
So might also the needs and the necessities might change.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And at the same time, of course, you also don't want to be like the parent for your team member, right?
No,
there's
not.
No.
It's draining otherwise.
Yeah, like talking about like you also have probably like other responsibilities in your life, right? But that's why that's I think where also my sense of, or my urge to help people to develop that sense of leadership for themselves also got shaped or developed, because of course we're all our own like leader in life, right? And even if I have a bad day, I can't like project it onto my manager to a certain extent, maybe like to see, okay, if there is something that we can work through. But my mood or my emotional state is also to some extent my responsibility, right? And I think what I've seen over the years is that we sometimes give up on that as a leader sometimes as well, and we project our own mood on our team or on our teachers or on our,
even our family
students,
members sometimes,
family
right?
members, but also the other way around, like as teachers or as students or as colleagues, projecting it onto, oh, they did that to me, but like we are always the ones who design and co-create the reality that we live in, right?
Yeah.
So
and talking about this is like, about the creation of your own reality, which like you spoke before, like you grew up in Germany. I did not meet you in Germany.
No.
And I met you for a couple of months, and then you were off for somewhere else.
I went to Canada. Canada.
Do you know something to say about Philippines? So how this one started to play? Because when I hear you, it's like I understand you a little bit better, and also your personality that is very like, polyedric, and it comes like a lot of interest that really fits also I think the type of personality you need to be like your own, to have your own company.
Yeah.
You need to be interested to seek for more things, and also be able to pivot and change direction. And this one, and for you was like, okay, suddenly I was speaking with you, and I was like, okay, I'm off to Canada. I'm like, okay, cool. I thought you just were like starting, I see your business was flourishing here. What happened? Why did you decide, okay, it's going well, let's I got this, throw everything.
Boring.
Life is proving me I'm doing well, so let me like take a next step.
Yeah, and it's so funny because a lot of people were also telling me like, you can't just leave, like you just like you have to continue feeding your community here, like it's so vital for your business as well, right? Like your community, your network, and it's true. But I had this dream to go to Canada, and like I knew I already postponed it year after year because of COVID. So like in 2024, I was like, if I don't do it now, I will probably never do it. And like that dream didn't die inside of me. So I felt like, okay, if like it's still there, then I have to do it. But like the actual reason why I went was because back in 2018, I developed the dream of becoming a Pilates teacher.
Okay.
And I was traveling in Australia and New Zealand during that time. And I was like at a yoga, it was a yoga class in Byron Bay, donation based. There was like a sign next to the beach saying like yoga tomorrow here, 8 a.m., pay as much as you want. That was like their marketing. Like, you know, yeah. And there were a lot of people passing by in Byron Bay. So yeah, I was like, actually the night before I was going out, like didn't get a lot of sleep. So, but then I was like, I made that commitment to myself. I'm gonna go to this yoga class. So I went, also talking about like, right? That's also part of like leadership or like building up a business for yourself when you make a promise for yourself.
Yeah, I was
How much
about
do you
to
stick
say
to
this.
it,
It's
right?
like there is a lot of this word like comes back, commitment, decision. Like, okay, I had this commitment. I wanted to go to Canada, stay
Yeah.
with me.
Yeah.
Like this kind of almost like a necessary ingredient
Yeah.
for things to move also.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, and maybe that came through like the shaping of my parent house. I don't know. But like anyway, so I was like there at the yoga class and it was beautiful, like the sunrise, and we were at the beach and like it was a French instructor with her French accent. She was teaching us this yoga class and it was beautiful. And next to me there were like two Kiwis from New Zealand. They already told me about, oh, you go to New Zealand, you have to go there and there and there. I was like, that's so cool, you know? So simple, but so cool. And I was after that went to have a coffee and I journaled a lot throughout my travels. And I was thinking to myself, why do we stress ourselves so much with like what we put on our CVs? When this yoga instructor here, I talked with her after. She was like, yeah, I love my job. Like I live from the money that I make with those classes and I live at the most beautiful places in the world. It's like, yeah, like why, if that's her purpose and if that's for her like really aligned, then why do we need to like think or where I came from then in that time, I was thinking, oh, I need to have like this structure in my CV, like do your school, do your studies, do you have this
The
job
necessary steps
to be successful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that like opened my eyes a little bit. And then I started journaling, okay, what do I want to do? What is like what am I passionate about? And then I was always passionate about movement. But also like a lot, I documented a lot of my travels and documented a lot of my lives already with like a WhatsApp group, Lena in Australia. So it was I was like, okay, maybe I can learn more about like how to market myself. Wanted to go more maybe into e-commerce or like wanted to like marketing. And at the same time, I wanted to become a Pilates instructor
Mhm.
because I knew my mom back home, she's a Pilates instructor. She maybe can tell me a little bit about it.
So
Mind you, back then, I never wanted to do what my mom was doing because I wanted to figure it out on myself, right? So I had to travel to the other side of the world to figure out my mom was actually doing something that I feel is quite cool. So yeah, then I came back with that dream. And like while I was like doing that research, I also Googled best Pilates studios worldwide. And there was a block entry, and I went through a couple of these studios, and one of them was the one in Canada in Calgary, Junction 9. And I was like, wow, their mission is so cool. Like they combine movement and community so effortlessly, like having like a whole house where like they have an entrance with a cafe or with a big table, which already invites for people to come together. First floor having like the studio rooms, like the Pilates reformer room, the yoga room, and the rooftop where they have events and in the summer and classes, of course. So I was like, wow, this is so cool. If I ever want to open a studio myself, I would want to do it like them. So I knew I wanted to learn from them. So then I came back with this dream back to Europe, back like did my Pilates education, applied for a job in the marketing agency with like also no experience, but like I had a mission and I was like, I'm here, I'm your person. So I got the job and yeah, and then I started working on building my social media presence and already reached out to that studio in Canada. I was saying like, I'm gonna come work for you. So I like it's a long story.
I'm not asking. I'm coming to work for you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be there. But like I remember I was then working, so I worked at the media company, but then I quit the job to study do my master's in media and business in Rotterdam, where we later met as well. But like I at university, Erasmus University in Rotterdam, they had a partner university in Calgary. I was like,
there
what
are
are the
signs.
what are the odds? So I was like, I have to apply. So I applied for that exchange. And I remember the announcement was such a big event. Like, anyways, so I was cycling to university, and on the bike ride, I was already thinking to myself, if I get the spot, I know for what it is. If I don't get the spot, I know for what it is. There will be always a reason for it.
Okay.
So I went into this like room, and they made like a big announcement. Everyone had like a little sticky note, and they made a countdown, and then you had to like remove that sticky note to see like your
I understand. It's like, looks.
And I was with a bunch of bachelor students, and they were all screaming, and it's like, okay, whatever. But so then I opened the sticky note, and it said Calgary. It's like, oh my God. So I got the spot. And at that moment, I figured out my apartment already over there, had like the university spot. So everything was figured out. But then COVID hit.
All right.
So that's where then I didn't go. But that's why I sent them a message, and I said like, well, I really wanted to come work for you. Like, you inspire me so much with your mission and so on and so forth. But like, things don't work out right now, but I'm gonna come.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, 2024, I picked up that thread again, sent them.
So, but
a
the thing that
message.
is very interesting is like the meantime, it's not that you were waiting for the opportunity. So you continue to build your business,
Yeah.
you keep working
Yeah.
and hustling for, and then that one is paying off.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it's like, okay, no guys, sorry. I still have that one pending from 2.5 years ago. I'm out.
Yeah.
So this one must have felt like, for what you say, a lot of people around you did not really understand, right?
No.
What you were up for. And the setting was different. Because like there was nothing really planned, like was planned back in the days, right?
Exactly. And I also, when I went, I didn't have the guarantee of like getting the job at the studio. My visa got only approved like 2 days before I flew out.
Oh wow.
And but I was like, I'm having that conviction. It's all gonna work out. And like I had an Airbnb only for a week, and I was like, I'm gonna find an apartment in that week.
And it's gonna happen.
It's all gonna happen. And like I only knew one person, and that person I actually met at Balance, the studio we both worked for. And she is was a karma yogi at that time there. And she, already then, like in those years that you now mentioned, like between like planting the seed and like me actually going there, at some point there was this karma yogi coming and saying she's from Calgary, and I was like, the universe is giving me some little hints that I don't forget about that dream. So
just when I was about to reminder.
So then I shot her a message beginning of the year, and I said like, hey, are you back in Calgary? Like, where are you right now? Like on Facebook, I really had to think. I'm like, what was
her name
again, you know? And then she was like, are you coming? Because she already knew about my dream.
Yeah.
And then I was like, yeah, I'm actually coming. So she was the only contact I had there. And then I went to see Junction 9, the studio, and like when I was in front of the studio, I was like it was like it was a dream I built for 4 years, and like then out of a sudden you see it like, and it's in front of you, like, oh my God, it's all the pictures, it's like so real, I can touch it. Yeah. And whenever I said this whole story like in the studio, they were like, keep telling the story, Lena, it's good marketing. So, people were like, what? This girl, she's coming all the way from Europe. Like,
we have to give her a shot.
Yeah. So already and then that exactly as you said, so many things where a lot of people would have said like, well, you don't have that figured out. Not any of that was certain, but you still went.
Like, why before you had, pass me the word, like the sort of reasoning that is the exchange with the uni.
Yeah.
Now it's more like, no, I did the exchange with the uni because I wanted to teach at the studio. So that was the main reason. So the exchange is not there anymore, but the reason is still there. Yeah. So I really want to go.
Yeah. And I was there, and I remember the moment that, because I was in email contact with them, and they were like, yeah, okay, well, we don't know how you're teaching, but like you can come and then we can figure it out. So I went there with the full conviction, of course, they're going to hire me. Like, I was also really confident in my teaching. Like, as you said, business was going well also here. So I was like, why would they not hire me, right? So then I went there, and first she didn't reply to my email very quickly. And I was like, being on top of things, being like, okay, follow up. And then she still didn't reply. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to the studio, wait for her, like see if I can like really like committed, as you say, right? And then she saw me and like we talked, and then she replied. That's how it works, right?
Yeah.
So then we set up a date for an auditioning, and I was like, okay, nice, those things are going its way. But then before the auditioning, a day before, she sends me a message and says like, hey, we have to postpone the auditioning. I'm sick.
And you're like, okay.
And that was the first moment after this whole trajectory that I felt like, oh shit. What if I don't get the job? And like it was all for nothing, you know?
My Airbnb just 1 week.
I'm like, oh shit. No, but like then we postponed it. And I went up to the stairs to the auditioning, and I was again like thinking, just do your thing, Lena. It will work out. If it doesn't work out, you did your thing, you learned the lessons, and then it will be good again, you know? Like whatever the outcome is, it will be good. Yeah, and then I rocked it. We had a lot of fun, and from there I was part of their team.
Amazing.
Yeah. It was so good. Yeah.
I like a couple of things that you said, and also what you say, be on top of things, right? Because we spoke about being a solopreneur, right? And what is the maybe the romanticizing about things are gonna happen. Sometimes I'm sorry to say that the universe is gonna make it happen for you. And what I notice is really what you say, the consistency, be on top of things, like also be persistent.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Not being afraid to be annoying.
Yeah, I would more categorizing like show up for yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to constantly show up for yourself, because eventually, like maybe we have this presumption that people know who we are, but why they should?
Yeah.
Sorry about that, but
yeah.
you know, it's you have to make yourself relevant.
Yeah.
You know, the people know. And I wanted to ask you, like going through, like also all this. I'm not gonna ask you how you did portray all this witch to your family and anything else, because that I think it needs another episode.
By that time, they already knew me already.
Okay,
of course.
Right. How this big switch a little bit changed the relationship with yourself somehow?
Yeah, I mean, I think it gave me even more of a trust in myself. Like knowing that no matter the outcome, no matter what the outcome will be, I can hold myself in it. And I think it helps me so much. And like it always comes back into how much can you trust your own guidance? How much can you trust your own wisdom, right? Because we have so much wisdom within us. We both work with the body as well, you know, like how your body reacts in certain environments. I had it also once when I did still the marketing freelancing. I had a intake call with someone and my jaws tensed up so much. And I didn't listen to it. Yeah, after a month we cut ties. Yeah, could have saved time, you know, like if I would listen to my body language as well. So I think it's always coming back to how much do you trust your own intuition. And like that moment also taught me again, like I have this knowing that I need to go without any rational explanation why I need to go. Like there was no rational reason, like there was no safety net in that way, right? But I still knew I can handle it no matter what. So I think that moment really shaped me in like that trust, but also knowing things will only start rolling once you start talking and speaking it into existence as well. Like what you said, like it's not okay. I'm sitting here and like it will just drop into my lap, you know.
No.
It's going out there, talking to people, speaking about your wishes. Also, the apartment that I searched for, it didn't come just like, you know, and people were talking to me like only 1 week. It's very difficult to get an apartment here, and you know. But then I shared it with my network. I shared it with that one contact I had. She put it on her Facebook profile, and like things start rolling. Really, once you bring it into the network. Nowadays, I talk about the ecosystem for my coaching programs because I really believe we all are part of an ecosystem. If we all live in our purpose and like really do what lights us up or like follow that intuition, the more we are of service to that whole system. And we have one all being part of us outside of us, but also within us, we have these ecosystems. You can call it ecosystem, you can call inner knowing, wisdom,
Mhm.
right? You have all kinds of names for it, but I like the name ecosystem, so I keep going to that. But yeah, so I think that moment reminded me of how much we can trust us and trust that connection and interconnection of us all.
And sometimes it's also to put things in motion, right?
Yeah.
Not just to, okay, this is what is happening. I think sometimes people get kind of scared, or that one can create kind of, let's say, analysis paralysis. There is so much to do that, where I'm going to start.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just to, put the things in motion, start with one thing and the other one will follow somehow, because
Exactly.
as you say, ecosystem is organic.
Yeah.
So it's an organic follow up, but can happen only if you start to put the things in motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A coach always said like follow the breadcrumbs one after the other. There is like a road of breadcrumbs, but like you first have to eat the first one before you see the second one.
Yeah.
And like that's literally what you said also. It's like the organic follow through. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you spoke about the ecosystem that is part of what you do now.
Yeah.
And now that I heard all your story, I understand more.
Yeah.
Like all this is like how this one also came to be is a result of, how you say, like move all these little ponds and put the things, or following the breadcrumbs, or was something now I had already in my head, like that I wanted to be a coach.
No, it was also a very organic development, like the whole entrepreneurship was. Like, I mean, I also only started my self-employment because like a family member asked me to help her with her business as a marketing consultant because she knew I
Cool.
was working in marketing before and like my media
Experience.
masters. And from that it started going, and also like I only registered my company because I needed to write invoices for my teaching. So that's why I needed to register at the KVK, right? At the Chamber of Commerce, if we stick it to international phrases. I don't know, but the ecosystem in that way, yeah, developed through the different interests that I also have and the different passions that I've followed through the past 30 years of my life, I would say. And I did also learn a lot through like the coaching certification program I did, the Soulful Leaders, that combines inner world with outer world. So it's really similar to what I said earlier about the inner ecosystem and outer ecosystem. And that really resonated with me because it was also at a time where I felt I got a little bit tired of the business that I've built until that moment with like the online Pilates library, and did all the things that you get taught on like how to do online courses, how to build your product suite, and how to build the ladder of like small products to like higher paying.
Okay, like creative funnels for
so I did
selling
all
products.
that.
Yeah.
And it was of course successful and it was going well, but like I didn't feel the connection to it anymore. So that was when I also searched for, and I had the marketing next to it, but that also felt like kind of that I sometimes taught people on what their business is, whereas I should just be like the communication arm of you, right? Like not your core being. And so I already organically coached people a little bit on like, okay, what's your mission? What's your why? Like those are things that normally should come from the business owner, right?
Accepting.
And so that's why I found, and then I on Instagram I just saw like this one person, like later on became my coach, but like she always, in the beginning I didn't resonate with her that much, but like later on I heard her talking about the program and about the inner and outer world connection, and in between were those 6 different coaching modalities that you learn, talking also NLP, hypnosis, the tapping and so on.
Tapping.
Inner child healing.
Hefty.
Yeah, exactly. And I first signed up for myself because I needed that connection to my business again, and that I only could feel again through going also all the how's reality created, how are your thoughts shaping your reality, and like the the loop that you also learn in NLP, like how sensors come in, like how you make sense, like how you filter them, how you create like a state of being out of it and your behavior out of it, right? So I think through that, it really gave me back that backbone and that trust also again into, okay, I want to pivot. I think I didn't know yet how the pivot will look like and how the business will shape after all, but I know that something needs to change.
I think also it's like this one is another moment that, as you say, like you had a successful Pilates business and suddenly you say, okay, guys, this is a side of me that maybe doesn't represent me anymore.
Yeah.
And I want you to see me under a different suit. And it's the one of a coach. I really like what you say about the inner and the outer world, because I feel a lot of people that have, or at least maybe we get conditioned to have this kind of disconnection.
Yeah.
It's almost like either the inner world has to adapt to the outer world somehow, or they are to be like two separate entities and somehow they have to find a way to communicate.
Yeah.
And I think that's what drives a lot of burnout nowadays.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I think the more fulfilling way is like from the inside out. And like talking about a burnout, it was also like, of course, I saw from my parents also sometimes having phases in their life where they were drained by their business in such an intense way, where I was like, I would never want to be there, seeing how dark it was for them. And of course, also being super happy that they got out of it and are living differently now again. But like, of course, that was also in that moment where I didn't feel that connection. I was like, oh, I really don't want to go there. So something has to change. That's where I think I'm also like very quick in changing things again when I notice it's not this. And where other people feel like, no, you have to stick a little bit to it to like let it grow and like to actually give it time and like see it. And with some things, I do that probably more, but like in that regard, I was like, no, but it's not changing. I don't feel the change internally, even though like externally it all looked like great and perfect. But yeah, that was when I had to look more inwards again and to see, okay, what do I want?
Would you say like that all this experience you had and eventually also have the coaching certification kind of connected the dots with your inner wisdom? So that inner wisdom was always there, but eventually you didn't know how to call it or like which kind of shape to give to this voice that you had within yourself. And eventually with the coaching experience, because being a coach doesn't mean just, okay, I have a certification, suddenly things. Is also like a little bit of, I would say it's like dirt work, because you have to work with your own shadow, with your own dirt, and figure it out for yourself, connect with your inner wisdom before you can kind of direct or do the right questions to your clients, right?
100%. Yeah, of course. Like it's not and I had that belief beforehand as well, that I felt like, oh, I can't coach if I don't have a certificate, which is like also one part of this, right? Or like people, or I also see it sometimes that people think, oh, I have the certificate and now I'm the best.
Oh my God, yeah.
You know?
Damage maker.
So that's also not it. And I think that also requires a lot of patience with yourself, to first build that experience, right? And to understand those tools properly for yourself. That's why I think it was really great that I went into it first for myself. Because I learned then, oh, that's my inner child. That's how I can talk to it. That's how I can reparent that part of myself. And oh, that's like how I use my language. How would it change my reality if I change my language a little bit, right? So I think, yeah, as you said, like really working with those tools yourself. And I mean, we have that in movement as well, right? Like feeling certain exercises as well first for yourself, like gives you a total different ability to teach that exercise to your students. And it's the same with like mental work, same as with body work. And that's why I love also that I had the experience of and still use Pilates, of course, every day. But like coming from that movement part as well, then into the mindset work helps me nowadays also a lot to find those parallels, because I think movement is sometimes more accessible for people and like gives you like
it's more
depends,
immediate.
right?
It's like you have the contact with the body, and there is more like it's automatic. Let's say you see, sorry, but maybe when you have to sit eventually, like really kind of think and respond to some question, it becomes harder. But the element of movement really integrates, because if you start to, in a softer way, to discipline your mind, eventually your mind can be more disciplined in the important questions of life.
Yeah, no, exactly. So like I think especially also coming back to like how you then find the right questions to ask your coaches, right? Is really this trusting your own guidance and own inner wisdom that was, as you also said earlier, is already there for all of us. But the connection sometimes is like blocked, right? And I think that's a daily deciding for it to be in that connection. And there will be different phases in your life, of course, but like this, like if there's a longer period where you feel disconnected to that voice or disconnected to that inner wisdom, we kind of lose track a little bit, or like we maybe get off in directions that we didn't necessarily want to go, or we like isolate ourselves a little bit, coming back to that circle of how also leadership is maybe sometimes practiced in different companies or studios or whatever. Where we don't get like sense that we kind of block our blinds to what's going on around us, maybe not seeing that this human being in front of us has a really bad day, and that's why they can't like perform in a certain way, right? So like in the ecosystem mastermind, for instance, it's like really about like understanding from sometimes isolating ourselves in our own tunnels and in our own like passion projects to getting into that system thinking of, okay, we're actually all here to collaborate and to innovate ideas and to be in a system where we can hold hands and like still be, you have a lot from the cake and I still have a lot from the cake as well. Like we don't eat each other, like, you know?
Yeah, I think this one is also one thing that I notice coming back also what you say, solopreneurs, there is this kind of scarcity mentality.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. If I share with you, you're gonna take from me.
Yeah.
Why eventually is more about what you say, collaborating, sharing, and also through the sharing, you can have that element of trust, because what happens sometimes, as you say, we go with the blinders, we don't see, we just like get almost like focus on one element and we forget the surrounding. But also by being like narrow viewed, we kind of, I don't know, something happens within the inner talk that kind of get disrupted. It's almost like, I don't know if it's you forget about what was the inner talk and you become fixated.
Yeah.
And if you're alone, nobody's telling you like, hey, take a step back, reposition, look a little bit the bigger picture.
You don't have the mirror.
Yeah, except you don't have the mirror.
Yeah.
You don't have the mirror.
Yeah.
And that's what you do now.
Yeah.
Like you provide mirrors.
Yeah. And very brutal, honest mirrors sometimes, which is also like something you have to hold. Sometimes you're the projection place for a lot of people as well, right?
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, exactly like that. It's the same what I said earlier with like I had like you need to go out there and talk about your things to like get to certain development and outcomes, which you also can't control 100%.
No.
But it's the same way when you then have like your business and you want to collaborate with another business, or like it's in any kind of life area, right? Even in relationships, even in friendships, and like we all live in a social construct where we have to kind of work together to make this planet a nice planet to live on, right? So it's really about how much can you handle your inner scarcity mindset and like your inner ego of like calming down and relaxing instead of trying to fight battles the whole time and like hit your head against the wall. To also see, oh, okay, we all can have part of this whole place and we don't like take something away from the other person, right?
Yeah, I think this one is very important, especially if you work alone. I always say like we are not islands. We cannot operate as islands, but eventually, I don't know if his success stories always kind of glorified the person, but the person was never there because he was alone. Like, even big to say like CEO, they had an incredible team, and people forget about, okay, that person made it that far because he was able to like maybe share, get feedbacks, and hear other points of view. And sometimes this is maybe the challenge that we face. So what you're doing now is like not just coaching, but providing like insightful elements for anybody that is like, how you call it, like that's working by itself.
Yeah, mainly for solo entrepreneurs, but also for like small companies with small teams, or who want to start building their own teams. People who like want to find out what is actually my life's mission, and how can I translate that into my life areas. With my clients, sometimes I also talk about like their relationship struggles, because like if you have like a topic with your partner, then maybe you don't have the capacity or the mental headspace to focus on, okay, let's set up the strategy for my next business launch,
This one was an element. And actually for me, like when I started this kind of journey, let's say the second phase, or like the second life, if you wish, of my career, what I noticed that there were a lot of people that I knew that started their own company, and not necessarily every time the partner was on board with that. So that was not just, okay, I'm starting my own company, it's gonna be like financially challenging the first years, blah blah blah. No, I'm starting this when it's happening, so maybe it's financially challenging. And on the other hand, I'm at home with somebody that is also making me feel guilty about what I'm doing, right? So that indeed is like, people forget, it's just about the numbers.
No, it comes back to we're in a human like
the ecosystem.
Also in an ecosystem.
We're in an ecosystem.
Indeed, So it's like with this ecosystem concept, for me feels so, it all comes together, from all the different things that I've done in my life so far, like youth parliament and like music and movement and HR and all that and media. It feels like it's all coming together and serving that purpose of, we're all part of a system, and the more we live in our alignment, the more we can be of impact and service for the whole system around us.
I think this one is very inspirational because it's what stops most of the people to change their life. The idea, okay, what you say, I invest so much in this, now I have to pivot and change. And I can put myself in this cluster too, because when I started, or I changed my second life, I changed my career, I thought that, oh my God, I'm going to waste all the career I built so far. But this is a little bit the story you get fed, right? And eventually it was like, no, this stuff is coming back and is useful. Because everything fits your plan.
Everything shapes your worldview, and that shapes how you teach, how you hold space for other people, how you like perform at your job. Like, I think it's exactly as you said, sometimes we get the impression we have to like follow this one path, and like if we pivot, that's all for nothing. But no, you gained experience, you're a total different person from when you started to when you ended that chapter of your life, right? And it all fits together.
So this podcast is about like, indeed, pivoting and taking the risky choices. And I assume like with your coaching, you hear a lot of these stories.
Yes.
So we have like a kind of signature question that I ask to every guest, is like their definition of being wise. And I think we have an interesting insight based on your own story, and also based on what you hear from your clients. So what does it mean to be wise for you?
Learning from lived experiences, basically. And learning from your own body language, learning from your inner knowing, which doesn't have to be rational. Just leave it at that.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you so much for being with me today, Lena. It was a true pleasure. And if you like this podcast, and if you like this story, and you think somebody needs to hear it, or you like just what we spoke about, don't forget to share it within your circle. We spoke about ecosystem, so share it in your ecosystem. Thank you again. This one has been Half Wise. My name is Elisa, and I hope to follow you continue to listen in our life stories. Thank you.